Hello, welcome to Lemonade Stand. My guest today is Paulina. She is a mom that's working remotely and also homeschooling. So it's a tough job, as we all know these days. Welcome, Paulina. How you doing?
Hi, Sharon. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Cool, cool, cool. Can you tell us a little about yourself? Give us a little background about your career, your home life.
Sure. So my name is Paulina, and like you said, I am working from home and teaching remotely. My 6-year-old, I was raised in the Bronx. I'm currently a director for a youth internship program for a small nonprofit in the Bronx. Yeah, so just trying to get through day by day.
I hear you, girl, and we all are.
Yeah.
So when the pandemic first hit, I could only imagine what happened in your household. Like, how did work change? How did your home life change? And also homeschooling. So,
Yeah, so I guess first, so homeschooling and remote learning are two different things. So we're still with the public school system here where we live in Westchester County. So when this whole thing first started, I think the first question was, what am I going to do about my job and
mhm,
teaching my son? Like, how is that going to work out?
yeah,
Luckily, it all depends on who you work with, where you work. So my job was super flexible. And at the time, everything kind of shut down. If you weren't an essential worker,
hmm,
you were pretty much working from home. So it was a mad scramble for
mm,
both the schools, jobs, managing the household, managing this classwork, and the actual my job, my work,
right, yeah,
finding a suitable workspace. So the best description I could say was like literally running around like a chicken with its head cut off. Like
mm,
everyone was trying to figure out what to do
yeah,
to best suit their situation.
gotcha. Wow.
Yeah.
So, did you have to learn new software to school your child? And you know, it was difficult, I'm sure, right? Are
It
you
was
could
I
do you
didn't
consider
realize.
yourself tech savvy?
No, I'm not. I think I'm smart. I learn quickly, but I think I also have bad luck when it comes to tech. So fortunately, the school here provided us with free internet, which was
Nice.
awesome,
Yeah.
for 3 months. Um, so that was really great for a lot of families that didn't have it.
Cool.
The remote learning system that my son uses is super, it's not complicated, but it's not easy to navigate if you don't know
Mm,
like basic computer skills.
right.
And there's a lot of like holes in this whole system. Like
Mhm.
parents weren't trained properly on how to use these systems, these softwares. um, Tech stuff is a big issue, access is a
Yeah.
big issue. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. And a lot of schools I heard didn't even they said they were going to provide the equipment and some people still don't even have laptops. I mean, it's a shame. It's
Yeah.
just like the left hand is not talking to the right hand kind of thing. Like
Nope.
they're just
No.
saying, "Hey, you're going to get this. We're going to do this." And then no, that didn't happen. Yeah.
Mhm. Exactly.
So how are things adjusting now? Like, are you found self in a comfortable place where you have a schedule, you and your son, and you just like figure stuff out? Like,
Yes, and no. It changes every
mm,
day.
okay,
Um, for me, when the pandemic first happened, from what was it, like March to June, we were getting into. It was easy because he was in kindergarten.
okay,
It was like one Zoom meeting. This was brand new to everybody. He had a packet of work, so we did it on our own time. There really wasn't a schedule. I did my best to
hmm,
keep on track, keep him on routine.
yeah,
We all need a little routine, so that was helpful. But then I had to work come summer, and my
hmm,
job, and all of us kind of decided for the youth that needed a place to go in the summertime away from Zoom. They needed a job, a paying job. We
yeah,
decided to continue with programming. So I
great.
had to figure out childcare because
Mm,
my husband was working. My husband's considered an essential worker for parks.
mm,
So he worked throughout this whole thing and still is. Um, so that was the struggle. I worked full
mm,
time out in the park with 20 interns, of course, with all the safety protocols in place, but I
Yeah.
still had to find childcare, safe childcare at that,
Right. Yeah.
trustworthy childcare. So it was like vetting that whole system and trusting
Wow.
that they're wearing masks, that the babysitter is, washing his hands, like that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's all
Sure.
anxiety you have to deal with.
Yeah.
So for those 2 months, it was incredibly busy over the summer. Um, but just is that not knowing what's going to happen, as much as we want to send our kids back to school, it's still like we still want to protect them, because like you
Of
said, the
course.
left hand is not talking to the right hand,
Mm-hmm.
vice versa. There's so much misinformation.
Yeah.
um we don't know what's happening where I live right now. We're like a hot spot. We have a stay at home thing issued,
Mm.
but schools are still open, jobs are still open. So it's
Yeah.
really confusing.
It is. And a lot of, if we're not getting it from the federal level, it's very confusing. Those are stronger words if you're hearing it from them to mandate things. And a lot of that's not, it's not happening basically. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
and it's pretty sad that it's not because we really need to.
Yeah, and as a mom, you just want to send your child someplace safe and know that they're going to be safe,
Of course.
and you
Yeah,
and you still need to do your job and make money and bring home money and provide.
that's right. So I wanted to ask you about this magazine article, and it was about and the title of it was Pandemic Forces Women to Leave the Workforce. So I'm just
Mhm.
going to read a little blurb. It says more than 800,000 American women dropped out of the labor force last month, a
Mhm.
significantly higher number than men. And for many reasons, they didn't, it didn't happen by choice either. So also the article said that many women left the workforce not because they didn't have jobs or their jobs
Mhm.
vanished. It
Mhm.
was because their support systems did. And more than half of the U.S. now has elementary and high school students that are now attending online only classes, and this is tough, as
Mhm.
we know. Um,
Mhm.
and it's also women's decisions to exit the labor force this year will likely impact their own professional and financial goals for years to come. And so what do you say about that? Because workplaces, they need to start rethinking and adjusting work schedules to accommodate parents. And I think that's our
Yep.
future. So yes, please. What are your thoughts?
It's interesting. This whole pandemic is like bringing light to a lot of things that people were already talking about, but just like
Mhm.
on a really localized level. So that article, when I read a similar article, and I like shaking my head, yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
Um, it's a position that working women, I only could speak for myself, right? That you never want to be in. It's like your family or your livelihood, right?
Mm.
Because we're women, we're not just moms, we
Yeah.
want to prosper in our career, we want to grow, we want to move up. But it's really difficult to do that when it's almost like you're the sacrificial lamb, right? It's like
Yeah.
moms sacrifice so much, and
Yeah.
it's no one asks you, and it's just assume that you're going to do this.
Right.
Um, and you're right, the workforce does not consider parents, because it's not only moms, right, that are doing
Hmm.
it. Some dads
Sure.
have to work
Yeah.
as well. Even when it comes to sick time or vacation time, you're using up your time to cater for your little one at home, which is just, it seems like unfair, because there's no choice in the matter, right? You just
Right.
have to. Um, but as a mom, as a woman, it's like, it's so hard on the mental, because being a mom alone is stressful.
Hmm.
Um, but now you're adding this whole layer of uncertainty. Now you're the teacher, now you're the social worker, because you have to now look out for your child's emotional
Hmm.
well-being as they learn in this new setting, the social emotional learning stuff too.
Yeah.
Um, on top of that, of course, you're like the doctor and the
Hmm.
chef and the
Yes.
housekeeper, all of these things on top of that.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not easy. And I feel like so much of it is it's emotional and mentally taxing and draining. And I have one child. I can imagine
Mm,
women with multiple children,
yes.
different grades, different
Yeah.
responsibilities.
Yeah.
Like your mind just wants to explode just thinking about the
Yeah.
responsibility.
Yeah, I totally
Yeah.
get I totally understand. And like you said, you're wearing many hats. All of a sudden now you're wearing hats you never thought you'd be wearing before too. Like now, oh, I gotta do, I'm a teacher.
Yeah.
Now I'm a
Yeah.
social worker. Now I'm
Yeah.
I'm a chef. I mean, it's like, yes. And
And
yes, go ahead.
can I share an example, Sharon, of
Sure.
like how this affects working women as well? So in our home, my son is his tablet is set up on one table, my laptop and my like my dining room table is now the office in the school space, right?
Gotcha.
It's a mess. Um, I don't know how we're gonna do Thanksgiving. But one day, his Zoom was going in and out, the class was loud, we were trying to get through this math problem
Mm,
and he's sick, so I have to read everything for him. It's not he could do it on his own,
right.
like in an older grade. Um, I had to stop what I was doing, close my laptop, put things on pause,
Mm,
and sit down with him for a good hour going through the math stuff.
mm,
Um, so my work schedule, it's not 9 to 5. Sometimes it's whenever I wake up in the morning to
mm.
that hour that I get alone. I know I've been working from 6 in the evening to sometimes 10, 11 at night, especially I'm busy when it's busy out there.
Wow.
Um, and we joke at it like at work, like, oh, I see you sending really late emails. I'm like, well, that's the only time I can do it, you know. But
Right.
I'm lucky in the sense that my job is super flexible and they're understanding in that sense.
That's
But
good.
not everywhere is like that. So
Yeah.
I could only imagine what it's like for women that have to be 9 to 5.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's nice that you have that flexibility. So, and
Hmm.
I think a lot of people are finding that now too. I find that myself, like I'm home, I can get work done. I kind of like work outside of the clock sometimes and just to
Hmm.
get it
Hmm.
done. And that's when you have the free time as well. So
Yeah.
wow. I mean, girl, my hats off to you. Seriously. So with that being said, like how are you coping? What are your stress relievers? What keeps you motivated? What keeps you going?
Yeah. Okay. So the big one, of course, is my son, right? It's like making sure that he gets what he needs. He comes first, of course.
Yeah.
A lot of people think, oh, well, you're working from home, so it's like a staycation, right? It's like, no, I'm still up at the crack of dawn. I still make sure that he sticks to his routine. That's really important.
Yeah.
Breakfast has to be made. We have to sit there. Things still have to get done. So by 3 o'clock, we're all kind of like
Mm,
drained, you know.
mm, mhm.
But for coping, when I do have a minute, I took up sewing, like
Ooh,
embroidering. So I'm doing that.
man.
um, just for fun, just to keep my hands and my mind busy away from the craziness of work and school. Um, yeah, listening to a lot more music,
Cool.
listening to a lot more like comedy, before I
Yes,
go to bed,
that
with my
helps.
headphones just like in my space. Um, and I'm also lucky and grateful that my mom moved in.
Ah,
Um, so having mom
nice.
around is super
I'm
helpful.
sure.
And
It's
she's so
great.
supportive
Mhm.
and she, her, of course, being a mom, she's like, you go take a nap, like you need a nap. So some days you get to like lay down and just veg out,
Oh,
you know,
that's so nice.
that's like therapy right there, just to
Good.
lay down and just not think for anything.
Kudos,
So
yeah, kudos to mom because she's
yeah,
giving you that space, but also she's giving you that security because you know your child is with someone
yeah,
that you
exactly.
trust.
Hmm.
And he's also getting grandma time. So
Right.
double
Mhm.
plus, right?
That's right. Yes,
So
yes.
can I ask you, have you sewn anything cool?
I wish I could show you right now. I actually gave my husband's name is David.
Mm.
I embroidered this cute little thing and I framed it with like flowers and it says, I effing love you. Like it took me like 3 weeks to do it because whenever I would have downtime, I would just grab it, and do a little thing and put
Yeah,
it back down. Um,
that's so cool. I
so
love
yeah,
that.
that's like the coolest thing, and I gifted it to him. So that was like,
Great.
yeah. And now the holidays are coming, like, oh,
Yeah.
what can I do for people, you
Good.
know?
Make stockings. That's an easy sketch or design to make if you want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
We're trying to, like, especially now with the holidays, and we try to keep it as normal, quote unquote, normal as possible.
Mhm.
Still do the decorations, still try to see Santa. Like for his birthday, we still have, the Zoom birthday party. We're not putting anything on hold. We're
Right.
continuing, but we're adjusting. And that's
Gotcha.
really important to like not fight the wave, just go with it
Yep.
as much as possible.
I love
Yeah.
that. You're gonna segue into our final thoughts.
Hmm.
Tell us anything you want to bring awareness to, or just some positivity, like you just said. I really like that. Yeah, you have the floor.
I definitely want to let whoever's listening, if you have like a partner that's at home doing what I'm doing, working from home and teaching from home, give them a break. Or if you have a friend, like just shoot them a positive text like, hey girl, I miss you. Can't wait to see you. You're doing a good job. Um, Give them time to take a nap, to go out, not to run errands, just like here, go out. My husband, here's 25 bucks, go get your nails done. Like
Mhm.
that's so important, these little things to give your partner, like just a release from the pressure because it is so much pressure. Um, and for employers too, like check up on your employees, like
Mm,
make sure they're good because if they're not good, work is not going to be good. You know, um,
good
just check
point.
up on people for sure.
That's a
Yeah.
great message. Thank you. We know
Mhm.
we'll need
Mhm.
to check in on each other. Just make sure we can. We have to get through this together, right? So here
Yeah.
we are.
And now more connection to people is very important,
It certainly
you know?
is.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's my little advice or
Cool.
tips or whatever.
I love it. Can I ask, because your child is so young, how is he? This is not normal for us not to socialize. So obviously he was before the pandemic. How is he adjusting to social? Because we are humans that thrive on social habits and behaviors.
So there's two things. I feel like he's thriving. He's enjoying the time at home, enjoying time with me and my husband and grandma. We still see his stepbrother on the weekends. We still try our best to see his friends when I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah,
Um, but he's doing well.
great.
He understands what's happening, why we have to wear the mask.
Right.
um we have family, so he's good.
That's
He's good.
great.
And I
That's
think
good.
keeping
Yeah.
the normalcy as much as possible is important. If you're freaking out
Hmm.
all the time, of course you're going to pass that down. If the
Hmm.
news is on blast all the time with all the negative crap, of course he's going to pick that stuff
Hmm.
up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's creating like a good healthy balance. um
Good.
and I did have a second thing I wanted to say. I totally forgot
Sure.
what it.
And I just wanted to add to that because he's at this age, he's a sponge. So
Yeah.
whatever you create, your environment, like you just said, he's going to absorb that, of
Mhm.
course. So if you create this positive environment, then that's what he's going to get from it. So anyway, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, and one thing I know I remember. I
Mhm.
think another thing that's like for some people, for me, we have a really close relationship, me and my son, and with this pandemic now, it's what been like 9 months since we.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds about right.
Okay, so this pandemic happened 9 months ago, and we've pretty much been with our kids for that long. Even if you do send them back to school, it's been blended, so you're still spending more than your time. One of the biggest concerns for me is like what happens when you go back to school.
Mm.
That separation anxiety,
Yeah.
because no one has ever, unless you're like a stay-at-home mom or no one's been through this before. So I'm not sure what's going to happen when everybody goes back to school and things turn quote unquote normal. Um, yeah.
Well, thank you again for joining us today. I'm so
Thank you
happy.
for having me.
Yeah, we're like old friends, new friends
Yeah.
again. It's just really nice. So,
Yeah.
and I'm glad that your mom is there and your child is doing well. You seem to have obviously a very happy home environment, and your work is adapting, which is really, really cool right now.